What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. First of all, thank you again for 20,000 subscribers. Still got that giveaway going. We will be picking that giveaway winner on November 23rd. So we have a post up there on our YouTube page. Be sure to comment which bowling ball that you would like and follow us on Instagram, because that's how we'll be communicating back and forth on giving that ball away. So again, thank you very much. But the reason you guys tuned in for this video, we're talking about the 2LS system yet again. We already had one of these videos on there, but it's back in the old shop. You know, we've grown, we've gotten bigger. We're in the new shop now, so figured we re-up, kind of talk some more about the 2LS system. So we're gonna go over here, grab ourselves a ball, grab the DNA. You know what? For no other reason than it was the closest one to me. Take this nice ball out of the bag here. So, I guess we'll first start off kind of I guess we'll go very simplified. All right, so we got the pin, we got the CG, and we got the mass bias. So if you ever hear me talk about those terms, those are which ones I'm talking about. Key to the 2LS system. The handy dandy arc ruler. Now, this is probably the most important part of the 2LS system because it's really not that important, but it's useful, it's helpful. It helps draw the nice even arcs. So, all right, so I guess I'll just kind of walk you guys through this step by step, kind of what each one does, and then it'll be kind of a finished product, right? So, first number that we start out with, pin to PAP. It's kind of the same if you're familiar with the regular VLS system, if you guys have done dual angles in the past. Same thing, pin to PAP. 3 3/8 is kind of the maxed out strongest version. And then it's kind of a bell curve. So the further you get away from 3 3/8, the weaker it gets. I'm going to use a standard layout that I like to typically use, especially on asymmetric bowling balls. So mine is a 5-inch pin to PAP. So it's a little on the weaker side, but with having a little higher rev rate, ball speed has come down a little bit. So I don't really need to drill anything massively strong. Just, it hooks way too early, just gets offline. Doesn't really ever become a little usable. So try to make it a little bit weaker, just so if I do start to throw it, I can throw it for a longer period of time. What's up, guys? Sorry to interrupt this video, but we got new merch. We got the holiday drop on bowldmc.com. We got, was it 5 new pieces, I think? Is that right, Mike? 5 new pieces. We got this sweatshirt here. We got a shirt underneath as well. It's got some little Christmas lights on it, if you can see there. We got another one of this, just in a plain shirt. We got a long sleeve shirt. We got it all. So go ahead and check out bowldmc.com. Taking pre-orders now. Everything's going to be shipping out on December 1st. So that link will be down in the description below. Back to the video. Now, for asymmetric bowling balls especially, you definitely want to start, this next number is a mass bias to the PAP as well. So the CG, you don't really have to worry about it whatsoever. So for you guys, irrelevant. Now, for me, I also do 5 inches from the mass to the PAP as well. So typically, the closer this mass gets to the PAP, it kind of wants to stand up a little bit quicker. It wants to kind of, I guess the core is trying to rotate a little bit quicker as well. So I like to do 5 just to get a little bit on that weaker side. So I don't like to see my ball, or at least these types of bowling balls, hook so early, because they're designed to do that by themselves anyway. So I like to go a little bit weaker. So I'm going to draw another arc, 5, and we need those 2 to intersect, right? So we got a nice intersection of the 5-inch from pin to PAP, and now we got an intersection from the 5 from mass bias to PAP. So that is actually where your PAP will be. Now for the 2LS, a little bit different than the normal VLS system that you would draw your pin buffer at this point. And now we're drawing the pin to center of grip. So pin to COG, the pin to cog, whatever you want to call it. I find it a little bit easier to kind of flip the bowling ball upside down. This is just a personal preference. You don't really have to do that. But this number for me, I like to see somewhere in the 3 range. So I'm going to draw 3. If you do this a couple of times, you'll kind of get the feeling of where you need to draw this line, but it's going to kind of depend on these next couple numbers, but we'll go from there. So why did I pick 3 for this? So for this number, this is kind of a pretty important number as well, because obviously with only 2 fingers going into the bowling ball, we don't have a thumb hole. It is very important to get the finger holes put into the right location, because we are changing the inside of the bowling ball once we drill holes into it. So the further the pin gets away from the fingers, it's actually lowering the RG of the bowling ball and raising the diff, basically making the ball stronger. And the closer it gets, it will do the opposite. It will raise the RG and lower the diff, basically making the ball weaker. So probably 1.5 is realistically probably the closest you'll ever get. That's very, very close. And then you really don't want to go past 6. I feel like once you go past 6, it kind of becomes a little irrelevant as well. So anywhere from like that 2 would be kind of making the ball pretty weak, and then 6 making the ball really strong. So I am still, again, a little on the weaker side, kind of getting a theme of me not drilling these balls overly strong, because I want to be able to use them for longer periods of time. This next number is where the handy dandy lightning arc chart. Yep. So you can find this on Storm's website. I think it's in like the downloads at the bottom of the page or whatever it is. But we can link it down below. You can link it down below, right? Yeah, you can link it down below. But basically, it looks like this. It's a big chart. And up top, you have your horizontal PAP. So my PAP is 5 1/4 over and 2.5 down. So if I go 5 1/4 over, 2.5 down. So I look here, 5 1/4 over. Okay, I see that, and 2.5 down. That matches up to where it would be a 5.5 inch lightning arc. So those first 2 lines that we intersected, this is the pin to PAP, the mass bias to PAP. That is where you place the little needle point. And then since my PAP came out to 5.5, I will go to 5.5. Now this number definitely could be different for you depending on what your PAP is. If you don't know your PAP, go to your local Storm VIP Pro Shop. Come here to TB Bowling Supply. We can get you taken care of. We can find your PAP. So there you go. So now we have 2 intersections, right? So now we have our pin to PAP, mass bias to PAP, and then we have our pin to COG and our lightning arc kind of crisscrossing there. So like I said, once you kind of do these a few times, you'll kind of get where you got to put the pin to center of grip. So the final little marking that we got to have here is, again, we're going to put the needle in the pin to PAP and the mass bias to PAP, so the first intersection that we created, and we have to reverse the vertical PAP that we have. So mine, again, 2.5, so now I have to go up 2.5 since my PAP is down 2.5. Create a little half moon there. So now, finished product, right? First little intersection that we created, second intersection that created, and this little half moon that is the 2.5 up, right? Okay, so now we're gonna be intersecting the second intersection that we made. This is the pin to center of grip and the lightning arc. We're gonna we wanna draw right where those 2 meet, and we want to line it up with the outermost part of the little moon that we created from our vertical PAP. So draw a line right through those, right? So we got kind of the top part of the moon there, right through the center of that intersection. And this is actually would be the dead center of our bridge. So now we'll draw a perpendicular line to that. And now you kind of have your center of your grip, right? We'll draw a nice little bridge. Just like that. Now, this is not where you put the holes up here. So our PAP for the two-handers is actually measured through the dead center of our fingers. So the holes actually will go in that manner, right? So our center of our PAP is actually measured from the dead center of our bridge. So for me, that is what a 5x5x3 layout would look like. So hopefully this helped you guys. I know the 2LS can be a bit confusing, but once you do it a couple of times, if you have an old bowling ball, you can just kind of mess around, draw some lines on it. Hopefully this helped you. Hopefully if you have any questions, go ahead and put them down below. We'll see if we can answer a few of them for you. Or we can just make a whole new video and explain some other things, right? So again, thanks for tuning in. If you haven't already, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure you enter that giveaway that we talked about earlier in the video, and go ahead and like it while you're at it. Might as well, right? So thanks again for tuning in. We'll see you guys in the next one.